Hey guys, it's Tarek with CycloneFPV, and well, I haven't done a live video in a little while. It's been a few weeks, I guess. Been kind of busy getting caught up with things, but decided today I have a customer out there, Aaron, that is looking to set up his X-Lite and do some firmware updates. And let me see if I can put the X-Lite on here. Bear with me a second, and I'll get that done. Let's see if we can make this work somehow. There we go. Okay, we'll try that. All right, so it's a little too big in the bottom right there of me. I get it. Sorry. I have to look at my ugly mug for a little bit. But so we're talking about the X-Lite, and it's not a common radio for me to use just because, I don't know, it just fits a little weird. But I have been using it lately, and the main reason is to get familiar with the R9MLite setup for everybody and be able to give some support on it. So I figured what a great time. We're going to go ahead and do that. Now, we're starting a whole new video series, and I know I've talked about this before, but things going on personally didn't allow for it. Now it does, and I've got some time to actually get going. So not going to waste anyone's time. I don't want to do a bunch of chatter. I kind of want to just jump into this because I'll end up editing this video and putting it in pieces on YouTube so people can watch it again later. But for right now, basically, here's what we've got. We've got the R9MLite, right, which is right here. And we've got the, let me zoom out here a little bit, sorry. Let me, God darn it. I keep forgetting that my mug is too darn big for this thing. So let's scale this down so I'm not so freaking in your face. And we'll go that route. And then we will zoom out so that you can see a little bit more about what's going on. Okay? All right, I think that'll do it. So here's the X-Lite, the R9MLite, the antenna that comes with it. And then you're going to see here, this is the R9MM, not the mini, but the MM, which is the updated version, which has the inverted S-bus on the second port. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of this. I've got the software already set up, but for those of you that haven't done the X-Lite or the OpenTX or anything like that, I've actually, on one of my computers behind me, I have removed the program altogether. So I'm going to be starting it kind of like if you were brand new to it. Now, you guys can skip through some of this, I guess, if you're watching this as a recorded video, but since it's live, you're going to have to be bored for a little bit. But I'm going to go quickly through it, okay, so we don't waste any time. So the main thing is we're starting with basically a brand new X-Lite. It's got some of my models on here, or two models, I think, that I added. The one thing, though, that I do want to point out is while you can run the X-Lite without an SD card, which will go right in here. Let me take this wire out. For those of you, this is the wire to do your updates on your receivers. I've made these here. I think I've been talking about putting them on the website, but I will start putting them on after tonight. You'll be able to buy them on the website. I mean, I'm just going to make them here and then send them out to you guys. But you will need this, and on the X-Lite, the order of the wires when you plug it in is going to be ground, power, and S-port. Okay, so on the X9D Plus, which I'll do a video on that one too, it's a little different. But for right now, let me lay all these out because these are all the things you're going to need to basically do this. Now, again, there are different ways to do this, but there is an SD card slot here. It does not come with an SD card. You're going to need one. For what I'm doing, I'm going to be doing the SD card version of this, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it. But it is pretty smart to get an SD card, so please get one. If you're going to try to do anything without it, this video may not help you that much, only because I don't recommend functioning these controllers, whether it's this one or the QX7 or the X9D Plus. All of them should have SD cards to store a lot of the things that you want to do, plus transfer your files properly and do your script updates and so forth. So we're going to pretend like this is out of the box, so you know, pretty much fresh out of the box. So I'm going to basically do everything over again. So if I've done the firmware update already, I'm going to go ahead and do that again anyway. And so you'll be able to watch from beginning to end. Okay, so with that being said, I've got a computer set up behind me, and I'm going to head on over to there and show you what to do. The main thing to start, though, is if you have your R9MLite, obviously you're just going to line it up. And let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Okay, so you're going to line it up, line this R9MLite up, and you're basically going to just pop it in just like that. And you'll see your light come on, and you've got your connection there, okay? Your antenna, obviously, if you haven't figured this part out, there's some serious problems here, but you just screw your antenna on and you're good to go. So that's the basic part. Now, what we want to do is we want to get the X-Lite updated with firmware, we want to get the R9MLite updated with firmware, and we want to get the R9MM And the same process for the most part with the MLite, being just a couple different things of software for updates, but you're going to do the same thing, okay? So you can follow through either way. You can apply the same instructions I give you. All right, so we're going to get going over to the computer right now. And I think I can pop that screen up here. You should be able to see that right now. It is going to be coming right there. So I'm going to head on over to that computer, guys, and I will see you guys over there in just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is you're going to go to open-tx.org, like you can see up here on the screen. All right, and what you're going to want to do here is you're going to need to scroll down till you get to your, you want to get your TX companion. All right, that's going to be the first thing. So you're going to scroll down until you get to your downloads and go ahead and click on that. Yeah, I know, David. I saw it. I just took it off. I've got screaming kids playing this Fortnite as if, I think it's more important than oxygen at this point. I can't figure it out. But, yeah, that's what I got. So, anyway, so to get started here, you need to do your OpenTX downloads, right? So you can go ahead and get the most recent one that came out is, now I've been on RC5, but I'm just going to tell you what to walk through here just to get started. So go ahead and click on the OpenTX 2.2, all right? And get the download started on that. And you'll scrolling down, and I believe you will get to your, now you have your SD content stuff here. We're going to do the 2.2 Windows installer, all right? So go ahead and click on this, and it's going to download, as you can see in the bottom right here. All right, and once that is downloaded, now I'm going to show the download folder because it's kind of important that you follow what I'm going to do next. Now there's going to be a bunch of downloads here, so kind of ignore mine, but what I would recommend you do is I would recommend that you create a folder, and you can do it on your desktops, or we'll go to downloads, I guess. I mean, whatever it may be, but I would create a folder, right-click anywhere, and just put new, and put a folder here, and just call it X-Lite, or just call it X-Lite for all you care. All right, so I want you to put all your stuff that you download for this, because being organized with this is going to be most important. So go ahead and just cut that and go ahead and drop it into the X-Lite folder, and you'll understand why in a little bit. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and paste that right there. All right, that's the first thing you need. The second thing you need is your SD card content. So we're going to go ahead and click the SD card content, and you're going to see here on that screen, you're going to see the option here for which controller you have. We're working with the X-Lite, so we're going to click the X-Lite link at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and take the .18 version, which was released on July 18th. So we're going to go ahead and grab that one. And we're going to save that as well. Now that's going to also go into our downloads folder. And then we're going to want to move that as well. So let me go ahead and go to the downloads, which is right here. And then you're going to see this software, and it's going to be right here. It's coming right now. You'll see all my other stuff. Now some of this I've already done, but I'm doing it again so that you guys can follow it. And this has got about 30 seconds left, so it won't be too big of a deal. About 23. I mean, it would have been done already if Fortnite wasn't owning my home at this point. I don't get it. I've tried it. I can't kill anybody when I play that game, so I apologize. But I've got 4 kids in this house hammering the Xboxes right now, so I didn't think about that when I said I would do this. But Aaron, this is for you, bud. So I'm struggling through this so that you can get your information that you need. Hey, golly. All right, so hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so the download is done. And what you end up with is this file here. Where did it go? Let me see. Where did I put it? I don't think it moved it for me, but let me go ahead and go in here. Okay, so that's not it. Let me find my X-Lite folder by name. And I think we made the folder, there it is. X-Lite's right here. All right, and so there's our companion. And then I need to find, which one was this? This was the SD card X7 2.2. Okay, so we'll go to date modified. Sorry, I've got all my files moved all over the place. Here it is right here. You can see I've downloaded it 3 times because I've done this to help people 3 times. So let me go ahead and click cut. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in my X-Lite folder, which should be somewhere right here. Okay, so we're going to put that in here. Okay, so now what we've got is we've got our SD card contents and we've got our companion. For right now, that's all we're going to work with. So we're going to go ahead and extract the SD card contents. And pay attention to this part because it is kind of important. And there's a lot of contents on here, but most of these are going to be different languages. So we're going to go ahead and delete the languages that you don't want, and that's going to shrink this up from like 2,059 items to probably 600 items. All right, so give me a second and we'll get to that point, and then I'm going to set that up with you. Now, while we're doing that, the one thing that I do want to show you is that the card, the SD card that you have, there's two ways you can update the SD card, right? So let me eject this from my computer, and I can show you, oh, well, there you go. Okay, so here's my SD card, right? And it's this little micro SD card right here, okay? I'm gonna put it in this adapter so I can pop it in that computer. I prefer to copy the contents of the SD card over through the computer by plugging this in rather than sending it to my controller. That's my choice, it's faster, and I just like to edit it better that way. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. You can set it up on your controller, and I'll show you how to do that too. But for right now, just to keep things kind of moving fast and making sure everything works properly, I'm going to show you this route. So as you can see on your screen here right now, this is the contents. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Okay, so this is the contents of the SD card compressed folder, okay? And if you look here, when you go to sounds, you're going to see all these languages here that we're really not going to mess with. So I'm keeping English and getting rid of everything else. So I'm just going to highlight those and delete them, all right? And then I'm going to go and do the same thing for check, and here we go. Let me go ahead and delete that. All right, now when you look at the total file count or the total file size, you will see, let me give you a properties count here, and I believe, okay, we've got a total of 262 files from 2,000 something. A lot of it is language, okay? And there was 101 megs, and now there's only 15 megs. All right, so let's go ahead and take this and keep this in mind, and I will go ahead and get out of that screen. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do the installation of the companion software. So let me get back, go to downloads, and find the X-Lite folder. And we're going to go ahead and install our companion 2.2. So this is going to be part one, or basically what you need to do first. Hey Ben, how's it going, bud? So go ahead and install this one and click through it. And that'll be done in just a second. And we're going to click next, and we're going to go ahead and run it. So go ahead and leave a checkbox there and click next. All right. Okay. Now, when this opens up, now I've got profiles already set up, but I will go ahead and set up a new profile. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and take my radio. And you want to go to settings first, and you want to go to click settings at the top and go to radio profiles, and I'll just do a new one. So I'm going to add a radio profile, and I'm just going to call it demo X-Lite. Okay, so let's go demo-X-Lite, and radio type, make sure to drop down and select your X-Lite right here. Now if you're going to put Lewis scripts on there or what have you, you can go ahead and select this. I'm not getting into that right now, we'll do that later, but for right now I just know we're running a no heli version. And that's pretty much it for me. Splash screen, I'm going to leave the same. I haven't changed those yet. Here's where it's important for you to pay attention is going to be the SD structure path. Now, in my X-Lite folder, I've got this thing right here. This is the SD card contents that are extracted. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to rename it to SD card. All right, and I would recommend that you guys do that as well. So when you come over here and it asks you for your structure path, go ahead and click the select folder, and then you can go to your downloads or wherever you put your folder, and I'm going to show you mine in this case, and we're going to go to X-Lite, and we're going to select SD card, and we're going to click select folder. Now your backup folder, you can click to find it and go ahead and make a new folder here and call it backup, and this is why being organized in one folder is really important. Okay, so you have your backup folder, and then you click select folder for that. Now I have a default order channel that's going to be maybe different than y'all's, but mine is TAER, which is right here. And we are going to do the following. We are going to go ahead and enable automatic backup. We're going to append the version number to the file name, and we're going to offer to write the firmware to the transmitter after it's downloaded. That's the first part. Now, under application settings, you can also specify an automatic backup folder. In this case, if you want to be really specific, you can just call this one auto backup if you want to keep them separated. And if you just do a new folder here and do auto backup, There you go. And then you can select that and click select folder. Everything else is going to be fine here. The use releases and release candidates is fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's actually necessary in some setups. So for right now, just leave it like it is. And everything else is pretty much going to stay just like this, and click OK. All right, now let me go back and go to my settings and make sure radio profiles, I've got demo X-Lite. And I want to edit the settings. Let me see, where am I at? Go to my settings. And okay, we're on mode 2, so everything's good. All right, so you're good to go with this now, right? So you have your controller pretty much configured for X-Lite. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take your USB and you're going to plug it in. Well, sorry, you have to get into your DFU mode, so bear with me a second on that one. But while you're doing that, take your SD card, and if you have to have an adapter, go ahead. Yeah, Aaron, it should save. It'll be on mine for sure, so don't worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and pop this SD card in the computer, so bear with me a second. I got to reach over here. All right, SD card's in the computer, and I'm going to go ahead and let me make sure I get this ready so we can see it. All right, so the SD card, if you look now, I'm going to have this SD card right here, and you're going to see it. Now, it's got all my stuff on there already, but I'm going to format it so that we can do it like we are from scratch. So I'm going to format my SD card, and I would recommend you do the same. And you're just going to format it. You can do a quick format and just click Start. Okay, now my SD card is formatted, all right? And at this point, I need to show you how to get into your, you got to put your X-Lite in mode to be plugged in with DFU mode. So you're going to press the this little dial, whatever you call it, this little keypad that looks like a Nintendo pad. So press it straight in the center, and then hit your power button and let both go. And you're going to see these 3 options here, right? So the 3 options, I think you can read that right there, I hope. I don't know. But anyways, okay, so the 3 options are going to say write firmware, restore EEPROM, or exit. At this point, go ahead and plug in your USB, and your screen is now going to say, and I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if you can read that, but it is now going to say USB connected. So hopefully you can see that. All right. Now that your USB is connected, you can integrate with your system. So we're going to go back to the desktop here. And what we want to do is, the first thing we want to do is we have this little icon here, Synchronize SD. This is going to take whatever is on your SD, your designated SD path, and it's going to put it onto your SD card. So when you click that, it's going to tell you there's no SD card connected in the radio, and that's fine for right now. We will put it in later, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. For the time being, what I want you to do is I want you to go to your folder. Let me go back to my downloads folder and go back to my X-Lite. Let me see if I can get this. It's somewhere here. Let me go by name, sorry. All right, so in my X-Lite folder, here's my SD card contents. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up another Finder window. And again, this is just because I prefer to use it this way. Go to File Explorer, and we should have now both of ours. So we have our SD contents, sorry. And I think I just clicked on this other thing by accident too. Let me close this out. All right, so here's your card. Here's what we've downloaded and extracted. And here is our empty, newly formatted folder, memory card, the SD card. So I'm just going to drag everything over and copy it, all right? And we're going to let that copy real quick. And this is actually going to copy a lot faster than if you did it the other way through the program. But you will use the program when you want to do firmware updates and things like that. And I'll show you that in just a second. Now, okay, so our SD card contents are right here. Everything so far is looking pretty good. Now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and check for your updates at FrSky's website, right? So we need to go ahead and update the X-Lite. We need to update the R9MLite, and we need to update the R9MM. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop open our browser, which will hopefully open up here quickly. And I've already downloaded these, but I'm just going to show you what to do. Okay, so we're going to go FrSky-RC.com. And hopefully, if I have my internet back from these kids killing it. Okay, so we're going to go to our downloads, and we're going to download the following. So the first thing is we're going to click to our transmitter, which is our X-Lite. and we are going to look for our firmware and SD content. Don't worry about the SD contents right now. The main thing is going to be the firmware and the firmware here and the firmware under here, and you don't have to worry about the manual. So what I usually do, and what is a good rule of thumb, is to go ahead and download all the updates, and you'll notice that the dates are usually going to be around the time of the release. So if you look here and you see the version, this version means it's version in June 22nd, 2018, and it was added June 25th, and this was out May 28th and added May 28th. So start downloading these and putting them in a folder. So in this case, we'll start with the XJT module. So let's go ahead and click download. Now, assuming I have already done this, which I have, I'm going to go ahead and take this and put it back in my folder that I created. So under downloads and then X-Lite, and now we're going to go over here and make a new folder and call it FrSky downloads. Okay, and this is again going to be important to stay on track with, and this is going to be the X-Lite folder. All right, so you have X-Lite, then you're going to have the R9MLite and so forth. So it has put it in my downloads folder. So we're going to go ahead and go to our downloads here, and we're going to go by date modified, and here is our first firmware pack. All right, so I'm going to open my X-Lite and I'm going to just drop this into here. That's the first one. Now we're going to our next firmware, which is going to be, and you could just save it as I'm sorry, go ahead and open it, and then you could select your folder if you had a download preference. So I'm going to go ahead and accidentally download this one twice. I'll let this one come down, and I'm going to download this one also. And this is important, and I know I'm kind of running through this, but it'll help you guys if you just make these downloads and sort them out properly, and you'll see why in just a minute. So once we go to our downloads folder, this one's done, and it's right here. All right, so let me go up. And we have our X-Lite folder already ready to go, so let me go over there, go to my X-Lite folder. Okay, so on our downloads, we're going to do this by date modified, and here's our other, and these I've already done, that's why you see numbers after them. So I'm going to go ahead and drag these over as well. 1 and 2. Okay, now I'm going to rename this because it should not have a 3 after it. That's only because I've done this 3 times to help out on a couple issues. So before we continue, the next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and go back to our download and get the rest of the downloads that we need. So the next thing that we need is going to be our module and our receiver. So we can do the R9MM, which is right here. And in this one, we're going to get our F protocol firmware, our Flex firmware, and our standard firmware. So Flex firmware, I'm going to get it, but what we're not going to actually install this. There has been a few problems I've had with the Flex, so I'm going to kind of tell you not to do it, but you can download it at least. For now, I'm going to skip the Flex and just go to the F protocol. So let's go ahead and download that one. And that's right here. We'll do it by date modified, and we will go ahead and open our X-Lite folder here. Okay, so on the FrSky downloads, now you're going to go ahead and make a new folder, and you're going to call this one R9MM. And when you open that, you can drop this in there. Okay, we'll go back to the web page, and that's the only one they have for that. And then we're going to go ahead and take out our first release of the firmware here. Let's go ahead and download this one. And we'll drop that also. Whoops, that's not the right folder. You go ahead and open our folder, our X-Lite folder, which is right here. Go up one. This is our R9MM. So there we go. We're going to drop this one in here too. So those are our 2 downloads for the R9MM. All right. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and get our R9MLite. So let's go back to downloads. Hey, Jordan. And on this one, we are going to go ahead and find our module. So let's go to our module, R9MLite right here. And again, we're going to do some downloads here. Okay. So under our firmwares, we're going to have 2 of them. So we're going to go ahead and take them both. 1, 2. And again, you have the Flex firmware on here, which I still think there needs to be a little bit of work done before I put it on there again, because we started seeing some drop signals. So for right now, I'm not pushing for it, but you're more than welcome to do it on your own. You do need to do that for both the R9MM and the R9MLite. They have to both have them. But again, we have had some problems with it, so I'm not pushing for that. All right, those are our downloads for right now. So I'm going to close their screen, and I'm going to go ahead and make one more folder here called New Folder, and we're going to call this the R9MLite. And in this folder, we will put the last 2 downloads that we got, which is right here. All right, now we're done. So with that being said, let me close out all these download folders and show you what we've got left. Now we don't need this either, so we're going to close that. All right, so now that you've got these, go ahead and extract them, and here's what I recommend. So let me go ahead and extract all of it. All right, now we'll close that. In your contents of, let's say this, for example, you will see another folder, and you're going to see the LBT and the FCC. My advice to you is to get rid of the FCC or the LBT or the anything EU related, and just stick with the FCC if you're doing this in the States. If you're not and you're using the EU version, then by all means delete the FCC. What you don't want to do is have them on there by accident and accidentally click the wrong one. So I'm going to take anything that's not FCC and delete it, and I'll show you why in just a second. And we're going to extract this folder next. Okay. And again, here is our folder contents for that, and you're going to see another LBT here, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. So now all we've got is the FCC versions, okay, on both of these, right? Now, I don't know why they put 2 folders with the same name, but let me go ahead and do a copy or a cut and go up one and just paste it into the main folder, and then keep everything organized. All right, so here we go, and I'm going to delete our downloads. I don't need those anymore. So in our R9MLite folder, we're going to have 2 downloads here, and then we can go back to our downloads and go to our R9MM, and again we're going to extract all these. I don't need for them to show me, so extract that one, and we're going to go ahead and extract the next one. All right, and again I'm going to get rid of my downloads now because it's just going to take up too much space here and get confusing. Again, get rid of the LBT version if you're in the States, or you're using the non-EU, which most of you are. So those are gone. And now you've got your 2 downloads here. Now, the last one is going to be doing the X-Lite. So we're going to go ahead and extract all of these. And here's the first one. And we're going to, see, you want the non-EU, right? So you can delete the EU. And I'm going to cut this and go up 1 level. Put it right here. Delete this. And again, I'm going quicker because I figured you guys can... oops. All right, so there's that. All right. You guys can go back on it. Okay, so this one we don't need. And then we're going to extract this one. All right, now here's where you got to be careful. So we're using mode 2. So if you're using a mode 2 controller, as you can see, these are LBT. So you can delete all of these right now. And I'm using mode 2, and most of you guys probably are, so we're going to delete M1, and we're going to be left with the 2 files that we need, all right? So we're going to take these, and because they're embedded into a folder, a second folder, let's go ahead and just paste them here. Delete this. All right, now going back to the X-Lite, so we have our 2 folders are ready to go. Let me see where I'm at with the rest of this. Let me see what's in this one. I think that's the one I just did. V2, let me make sure I've got everything right, 528, and this one. Okay, so we have the third one, which is going to be right here, so let's go ahead and extract it. And again, you're going to have your EU version, so let's get rid of these 2 folders. We don't need those anymore, we've already extracted them. And then now we've got our, we're not using EU, so we can get rid of those right off the bat, and I'm using only mode 2, so I'm going to get rid of mode 1. And you're going to be left with your non-EU mode, okay? So let's go ahead and cut that, go up 1, paste it here. All right, so your folders, when you're done, should look like this. You have R9MLite, R9MM, and X-Lite. Now, to clean this up even more, there has been an issue with long file names, all right? So I would recommend that you do the following. go into each of your files, and you notice how they're numbered here, right? So you've got, on your light, you've got August 4th, April 28th, 2018, and you've got June 25th, 2018. So what I do, because of there being, what is that? Does this have to be done? Okay, so we're doing, you have to do, your radio has to be up to date, and so forth. Once your radio is cut up, you're only going to do the receivers. This is to do all of it. Radio, module, and receivers. All right, so this is basically for somebody who's doing it for the first time, Aaron. I hope that makes sense. All right, so to make it a little bit easier now, I will put everything into one folder so that you're not clicking through. But if you'd like to do it this way, I just kind of recommend it. So I make a folder that is like this. I make a folder that is, oh, I don't know. I'll call it like today's date. So today is 10/20/18. Okay. Let me do 10/20/2018. Make it easier. All right. So, and the reason I'm doing this is because if any firmware comes out after today, then I'll know that it's not in here. But this gives me a date marker, right? So I'm going to go ahead and drop all three of these in here. Okay. And now I know that when this shows up on my controller, everything that I'm using was updated as of the 20th. All right. Now, with that done, I'm going to go ahead and eject the SD card from the computer because I want to go ahead and put it inside the controller. So let me go ahead and eject that. And I don't know if I have to unplug this controller. That's something that I'll find out real quickly to get this in here. But once you pop it in there, and it's in there, let's see if it pops up. It may show up down here is what I'm hoping, but we'll find out very quickly. And if not, then we'll end up going back in this thing. All right, I'm not seeing it yet, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. And to just disconnect this properly, make sure you go here and eject. So just go ahead and eject. Hey, Michael. All right, so we're going to go ahead and unplug this and just get right back in. And we should see it pop back up. Hopefully we will see that. Let me get out of this real quick. Let me go ahead and exit.
Welcome to OpenTX.
All right, calm down.
Switch warning.
All right. Let's power this off. All right. So now we're going to get back into DFU mode. Here we go. We're going to see our stuff update here in just a second and wait for the computer to catch up. Now let me see if we've got our communication with the radio. Okay, so when you have your radio plugged in now, right, and you're connected and your SD card's in there, you will click this setting here. This is basically to read the models from the radio, which is, I've already got models on mine. I've just got two because those are the ones I'm testing. So again, here's your spot for your synchronizing your SD card, right? So it automatically knows your SD card is in your G folder, which I think if I open this up, you will see that there it is. There's my G folder, and there are the files that we initially copied over, so we don't have to worry about that. The way to do this initially is we've got our SD card here, and it's referencing this location. So if we click that and we open it, you're going to see all the things that we have here, all right? And one thing that you're going to want to do now is you will go ahead and do a test run, and you're going to tell it to go both directions, just to see if it finds any differences. If there's any new files, any old files, or any errors. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. Aaron, I hope it's helping, man. I'm trying. I'm just not going to go too slow. I hope that this is... I don't want to bore you guys. But you guys let me know. If I miss something, by all means, please let me know. Anyway, so we're going to let it go through. And it'll be done here in just a second. Main thing is we want to make sure it skips pretty much all the files. All right? That's going to be the most important thing, because if it skips, it means that we've done our copy properly. Once we do our copy, I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do next, and we're going to take it from there. All right, but please pay attention here because this is where it's going to get a little different. All right, we're almost done. We have no errors, no new files. Everything should be skipped. Excellent. So everything was skipped, okay? And that's both directions, okay? So 277 both ways. So now we're going to close this. And what I want you to do is I want you to go now to your folder where you put everything in, okay? Your X-Lite folder. And remember now, we don't need the SD card content anymore. We can delete that. We've already got Open Companion 2.2. If you want to leave that there, you can. But we want to go to our SD card, and you have this folder here called Firmware. Okay, so in your firmware, this is where you're going to put all your software that we just got from FrSky's download. So it's right here, right? So in this case, I'm going to take this folder, and I'm just debating if I want to make these things shorter. So if we have a problem with the long file name showing up, then I will. I don't know if I want to mess with it yet or not. But in either case, what we want to do is we want to take our folder here, and we're going to copy it, and I'll explain to you why. We're going to copy it, and we're going to drop it into the SD card firmware folder here. And the reason we're going to do that is, once it's in here, we're going to go ahead and synchronize, and that's going to copy that stuff over to the SD card on the controller side, all right? Which is going to be important because you're going to do your updates from the controller side. So now, once you've done that, click this, and you're going to see it's no longer a test run. Now watch what happens. You see how it's creating all those directories, right? So it's copying all the information that we just put in there, and it's copying it over to the other side. And it's going to go much quicker now. So if you look at your screen, you got 20 new files. You skip the remainder of them, and you're good to go. So we're going to click Close. And now what we want to do is we want to check for any updates on our controller. So in this case, we're going to click our download. And our download is going to check out, you see how it says no heli right here? Let me show you something here. Under your settings, I selected no heli. If you select no heli, Lua scripts, and so forth, it's going to actually put, I'll do it as a test, I'll show you. It's going to actually add the file name, and it's going to download the update for all of those options you selected. I'm not doing scripts right now, so I'm going to kind of get out of this, and I'm going to go back to that. And I'm just going to tell it, I just want the no heli because I'm not doing anything heli-wise, so here it goes. So we're going to click OK, and we're going to click this down arrow, and we're going to say we want to check for updates. Okay. Okay, there's no updates on the program. Now that's for this program, OpenTX. Now we want to download the firmware. The firmware is what you need for your radio. So you're going to go into your firmwares folder, and this is a 2.2.2 RC5. This is what we could have downloaded earlier, but we did not, because I wanted you to see how it worked this way. So go ahead and drop this right here in your firmware folder. Okay, now the question is, do you want it to write to your controller? Go ahead and click yes. It's going to give you the OpenTX start screen. I don't care about that. It knows where to look already. It knows because you put it there, and you can click the check for hardware compatibility. I'm for that, so I would leave it and go ahead and click write to TX. And what you're going to see now is it's going to finish writing, and you've just updated your firmware now on your radio. There's still another step though, but you've at least done this part. We already have our SD contents because we already downloaded that. So we're not going to do it again. This is basically the other way of doing what we did, but I prefer to do it from the website itself. Okay, now your radio's updated. These are the models that I have, and we can play around with all this later. I do recommend that you use your models here. If you click one of my models, for example, you can open it. You can see all the settings that I have. Here I'm using the R9 protocol here. And if I want, I can use the internal, so you can change them. You can use Crossfire, whatever. It's a lot easier to set up your models from here, in my opinion, because you can copy and paste your inputs. Like here, for example, I did my inputs, my mixes, and my outputs. I also do my logical switches and special functions on my other controller. Easier to just copy these. I kind of like using this, but in either case, if you're good, you're good. You don't have to worry about it. We're kind of going over the update anyway, so this really doesn't matter. So I don't want to save my changes because I'm not worried about the models. All right, so what we've done now is we've updated our controller, and we have we have synchronized our content. So at this point, go ahead and come down to your safely eject options here, and go ahead and just click either one, eject the USB-G, and then I believe that your, sorry, I clicked the Norton by accident. I believe your controller is going to be set. Okay, so we're done here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to head back to the bench. Let me go ahead and put that camera back on. So let's try this one. I think that's it there, and let's do this one and see if we can get back in. All right, so let me do that. Done, and we will go back over there. All right, So here goes. I'm going to head back over there now. And I'm going to click this off, but I'm not going to change the screen because I want you to see what we're working with. So bear with me a second. All right. So let me put this phone back up here. I'm going to click close. And let's see what we got. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're back now. And what we're looking at now, where we left off, is the screen now. When I pulled out that, let me see if I can get this to focus a little bit better. Okay, so I don't know if you can read that very well, but it says update, it says write firmware, restores EEPROM, or exit. Now, in this case, this is for the bootloader, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do the following. I'm going to get out of this because I want to show you what we're working with. So let me go down to exit.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Now
All
my switches. And we don't have failsafe set. Okay, so at this point, it's time to go ahead and update our parts that we wanted to update, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to update the X-Lite. So to update the X-Lite, let me get over here. Okay, so to update the X-Lite, the first thing you're going to do is take your little joystick button here and hold it to the left, and you're going to get to your setup screen. All right, let me see if I can get that just a little bit better, maybe. I'm hoping if I can get that zoomed in or in focus here. There you go. If that light just... All right, let's see if that works. I have no idea. Maybe if I add this light, I don't know. But that light's going to come on here in just a second. So, all right. Hopefully this will work. Hopefully you guys can read it. But if not, you let me know and I'll try to make it clearer. All right. So you're going to... let me get back to the beginning. So once you're at this screen, when you turn it on, hold your to the left, and you're going to get to your main setup, and you can go to the right one, and you're going to see your SD card contents, and here they are. And there is your firmware. That's the folder we created, and there is the date of the folder that we created, and you see the files that we actually added here. So we have the X-Lite, the R9MM, and the R9MLite, okay? So when you click your X-Lite, and you can start, and what we're going to do is, and here's a rule of thumb when working with FrSky, go everything in order by the dates, okay? So what you have here is, especially if it's under the same category, so you have April 16th, you have May 28th, and you have June 22nd. I'm going to my April 16th first, and this is the non-EU version, so I'm going to press down and click that. And it's going, well, let me hold it down. And then we're going to go ahead and flash the internal module. Okay, now the internal module is not the R9MLite. That's actually what's internal inside. So let's go ahead and do that. By pressing, you press the joystick button down, and it's going to go ahead and go to writing. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know that... I do a lot of cleanup just to kind of keep it organized on my end, but I know that can be a pain. I've got some guys that will verify that my OCD will make it to where if it's not in right order, I can't continue. So that's just my one of my many flaws. Sorry. Hey, marhaba, Mr. Halabi. How are you doing, my friend? Been a while. Good to see you, sir. All right, so we got to sit through this writing here. It's going to take just a little bit, guys, but it's important to get this done, and I want you guys to be able to watch it. But yeah, keep your stuff organized because it does get really confusing, and you can start placing files incorrectly, and next thing you know, it's not working properly. All right, we're almost done. Takes a little while. This is why I said I like to do everything from inside the computer when I put the memory stick in. Things around here just take a little too long with some of this. All right, let's wait for that to get done. Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, they give you a ton of files. All right, once that's done, take your joystick and go back up to the two dots at the top. Press it in. And we've just done our first one, so now we're going to go ahead and do in order. Remember now. Now look, I have written FrSky about this, and there has been some documentation on it. It is fair to assume that the update after does not include the update prior to. So do not assume that if there's an update in a folder, let's say it's called, I don't know, firmware update, whatever. Don't assume that if there's a new one that it includes the old one. Do them all, and do them in that order, from old to new. because there have been cases where the new one does not include the old updates. And I recently had something to do with that with the X9D Plus. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it is a fact that you just should get in the habit of doing them all and do them in the order, unless it's published or somehow noted somewhere that it includes it. I always assume it doesn't, all right? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in order. So May 28th is our next one. So go ahead and hit down on that. Oops. And then go to, we are doing the non-EU mode. And we will just click, here we go. Let me make sure we get that. Sorry. And we're going to go ahead and flash our bootloader with it. I think I already did the bootloader on this one, but I'll do it again, I guess. Why not? Okay. So that takes care of that. Some of these I've already done, and it's just becoming redundant. All right, and then our next one is going to be our June 22nd, 2018. So go ahead and click on that, and we will go ahead and do the bin. The DFU we would have done earlier. We're going to do the bin mode here. So we'll go ahead and flash the bootloader with the newest one. All right, now that we're done with the X-Lite, guys, we're going to go back. I exited out by accident, so we're going to go back to our firmware folder, and now we're done with the X-Lite. So now we're going to go ahead and do the module first. So go ahead and go to the module. And you can see that we have two here. We have April and we have June. Go to April 1st, click down the center, and then hold that down. And this time we're gonna be flashing the external module. Okay, so go to the external module, and you'll see it start writing here in just a second. All right, thanks, man. It's been interesting. We've been growing, but it's also been an adjustment. So I'm making my mistakes as I go because it is a one-man band here. But I've had a lot of good support from everyone. But it's nice to see you back there, man. It's been a while. All right, so we're going to write this first one, then we'll write the second one. And we should be good to go, guys. And then the last thing, let me go get that R9MM and the cable. While this is doing this, let me explain to you what you have to do here, okay? So you have to have a cable made. You can make it yourself, but you need to make one that basically is like this. It comes in a kit of wires, okay? So here's my nerd kit, right, of goofy wires and everything to make your own wiring. So I do that, and I buy these all probably, I think they all came from Banggood or something. But what you want is you want a set like this one. And if you guys want, just let me know and I'll get you taken care of. So you get these, right? And you get like a ton of them. I mean, they're cheap. So you pick your 3 wires. So in this case, we're using, I don't know, I picked black, red, and yellow. So if you were to do that, you would take, if you want to do the same thing, you take your black wire, which is right here. Sorry, I know I'm kind of getting off this, but you're going to need one of these to do your receiver updates, right? So here's red. And I always use yellow for my S port, so, and here's yellow, right? And it's just pretty much as simple. Now, keep in mind that the wire pattern for like the X9D Plus is different than the QX7, for example. But let me show you what you would do. So you take, in this case, this is the cable we're using. So it's from left to right, yellow, red, black. So go ahead and line these up, right? Yellow, red, and black. Let's move this out of the way. They've got to be perfect. I'm such a pain about this. Got to make sure they all look good. Okay, so first thing you would do, I know I just kind of drifted off of the controller, but it's because I kind of figure some of you guys may want to see this. I hope. If I'm wasting your time, I apologize. Go ahead and run these through the heat shrink tubing. All right. Make sure they stay in order. Yellow, red, and black. I like to turn all these little stupid silver things, the clips, the same direction so it looks good. All right, so this is what you're working with, right? And once you're at that point, okay, I gotta hold this here somehow. There we go. Now, go ahead and let that grab. Make sure they're all lined up, which they are. And then you will take a little bit wider version right here. Snip it, feed it over the top. I'm sure if y'all are talking crap about me right now because I'm being a pain about this, I apologize. But try not to burn your fingers here, but just try to get it to hold and keep them even. It's more for aesthetic purposes, but I mean, uneven cables are kind of driving nuts. All right, get all that to shrink down and bind properly. And there you have your data cable to do all your updates from your X-Lite. Okay, this is the pattern of it. This is the wiring pattern of it. And now I just have a couple uneven pieces, so I'm just going to press this down, and boom, there you go. That's it. It's that simple. All right. Now you have your data cable to be able to do your receiver updates. All right. So I'm going to put mine aside, and we'll use this new one. All right. So we did our, getting back to our controller now, we did our first update. So we're going to go back up to the 2 dots. And let me get this back in here real quick. Get that light out of here. And let's see if we can get this to focus back in. All right. Now we're going to go to the second one, which is for June. Again, click it. And we're going to tell it to flash the external module. And it's going to start in a second. Well, I tell you what, I use the QX7, I use the X9E, which I don't know if y'all know what that one is, but that's the really, really, really big controller like this. Like, I mean, like, I have to zoom out, but it's like this big, right? It's awesome though. I mean, it sits on your lap. It's if you sit down and fly, it's great. The X9D Plus was always my favorite. This one, the biggest thing for me is I fly like this, and so, you know, this makes me want to fly with using thumbs, and then I'm all over the place like a drunk giraffe. So, but I do like the controller because it's very easy to pack and go. Let's get going with this. Michael, I didn't see. What did you say, Michael? Michael Parrish. Yeah, that's right. He's right about that. Okay, I'll catch up to some of those in a second. All right, so we're writing our second one, and then we're going to do the R9MM. And then we're done, guys. And I'm sorry, I'm sure this has been kind of boring, but I wanted to make sure I covered everything as I could. And then always please let me know if I left something out for you. By the way, the files that you need are going to be on the website, so you don't have to go digging for them. Okay. So yeah, and yeah, this is very easy to make. You don't even have to make it. You can just buy the cables and just plug them in. I just like to have them all set up like this. All right. So, okay, so that's done. All right, so going back now, and the last thing we have is our MM receiver, right? Okay, so this is where things have to be. You have to be on point with this, right? So my receiver is right here. And I'm going to zoom in on this real quick so I can kind of show you what we're talking about. All right, and I need my little blind man glasses here for a second. Okay, so let me show you what we're talking about. Let me get this light out of here. All right. On your receiver, maybe I'll put this down and see if I can get it better like this. I don't know if it'll get clear or not, but all right, I guess not. I know it's a little blurry, guys, but the point is to show you something. You'll see this marking right here, and this is with the antenna connection side up, okay? The first marking, which is right here, that is your positive. The next one is your ground, and the next one is your S port. Now let me zoom out and I'll show you a little bit better. As a matter of fact, I think I have a bag here or somewhere where I can show you the drawing. One second, let me see if I can grab that. I'm I've got the bag right here, so let's try that and see if, the drawing here and see if that helps you a little bit better. And I'll put it in line with the way this is laying out. Okay, so on your R9MM, right? So here's a piece of paper. Let me zoom out. And here is the receiver. This is laid out exactly how the drawing is, okay? So on this stupid thing that won't focus, let's do autofocus. Does that help at all? Okay, well, this is about as good as it's gonna get. So you have your, this is your positive, your V in, which is gonna be your 5 volt. You have your ground, and you have your S port. 1, 2, 3. On these two, you'll have a positive and a negative symbol, okay? And remember, this is with your antenna and a bind button up. So what you are going to do, and this is why I love these cables so much, all right, is you're basically going to just take them, put your positive in, and it pops right in through that hole. Put your ground in, pops in through that hole. And put your S port in, and it will, now sometimes you'll have to come in through the top. There you go, okay? So if this is anything to show you how easy this is, there you go. You have everything sitting in. You don't have to solder anything. You just plug them in. They won't touch because the plastic sheets are going to keep them separate. Now, on your controller, on your transmitter, let me zoom out. You are going to plug this in from left to right, yellow, red, black. So onto these dots right here, right? Yellow, red, black. Let me get that in so I don't bend those. Okay, and there you go. Now, I'm going to try to move this a little bit so you can see the receiver light up when it starts getting data. Hopefully that is going to be able to show you. All right, so now we're on the R9MM on our screen, right? Okay, I think you guys can see that. Go ahead and press down the button. Come on, stop being so damn bright on the, there you go. All right, so press down and you open up your new folder. There you go. And we're gonna go in order again. So we have the F port. So we can go ahead and do the F port and click that and then go ahead and long press on there and you're gonna get flash S port and you're gonna go ahead and press again. Now, if I've got this right, and I hope I do, you will see this, you see the light here, I think, yeah. So, no, you don't, because you're not even on the darn screen. So there you go. Okay, you got your lights blinking right here, and you have your data writing. Why? I don't know. Let me see if I can get this to show up better. Does it say writing yet? Maybe you guys can see that. I don't know. Let me get the light out of the way and see if that helps. There. Oh, gosh. Whatever. So there you go. All right, so it's going to be writing real quickly. And that'll be the first update that we do to our receiver. And we've got a couple more after that. Now there is, like I said, there is the Flex update too. I'm not putting it on here because I've had problems with it. But if you'd like to do it, you go ahead. They do have a new beta release version of it. I did test the beta version. I did not have an issue with it initially, but I haven't tested it enough to want to go ahead and put it. I put the initial Flex update on the customers and it lasted all of 50 feet and the thing fell out of the sky. Once I took it off, everything was perfect again. All right, so we're writing the first one. The regular RX. Yeah, I mean, it's the same cable. Okay, but what I can tell you is the cable for the X9D Plus, the wires in a different order. So if you do like I do and heat shrink them together, you will not be in the right order if you use an X9D Plus to try to use that cable. So the cable itself is the same for no, hold on a second. I don't know who you're replying to, Halabi, but the cable is the same on the controller for any receiver you have. The cable will change, yes, exactly, but the cable will change. The layout will even change if you use it to like an X9D Plus, where the positive and ground and S bus order are different, or smart port order are different than they are on like the X-Lite, okay? But once you have the cable for the X-Lite, you'll use that cable for any receiver you plug into the X-Lite. Just plug in positive, ground, and S port, okay? All right, so our first one is done. We're gonna go now to the second set of updates, and here it is. Press it, flash to the S port, and you are just about done. As soon as this is done, everything's been updated. Matter of fact, I have the cable for the X90 Plus. Hold on a second. I just got done flashing something for that too. And if you can hear the elephants running upstairs, those are my kids going crazy on Fortnite still. I cannot win, so I'm throwing in the towel. All right. Well, I don't know where my cables were. I'll have to find those in a little bit. But yeah, the cable on the X90 Plus is a little different as far as the order. Okay. So we're still writing this one. And guys, I think at that point we're actually done with the updates. I was just looking to see if there's anything else. I'm getting ready to, behind me back there is the benchmark for the new motors. So I'm running some benchmarks tonight and putting together bind and fly setups for the 7-inch, the 8-inch, the 9-inch, well, the 5 through 9 actually. We're going to have a whole new 5 through 9 series of quads. And we're going to do some bind and fly pricing for you guys tonight. Let's see, what else can I tell you real quick while this is doing? It's the slowest thing in the world to write to these things. I think I'll grab this just for fun and show you my cluster here. This is my cluster. You see that? I don't know if you can see that under the camera there. That is 20 different quads. Time for me to sort those, clean them, and get them ready. Okay. Joel, the version of that is supposed to be coming in next week. Now, look, I am going to probably be throwing punches again with FrSky on this shipment issue, but they've assured me they're going to do better than sending it on Camel. I think they did that because I was from the Middle East and they thought it'd be nice, and I'm like, camels don't cross the ocean, so we need something better. So they've assured me they're going to do something better. I don't know. 1 second here. Let me just get back to this. Okay, guys, so look, we are now, all our updates are done. Everything's good to go. You can unplug it, and you're done. Your MM is updated. Your receiver's updated. Now, let me touch something else on this real quickly, just to make it important for you guys. You're going to understand something here. If you go into your model, right? You set up a model. So to get there, you will hold to the right here and you get to your models. And then you just keep clicking to the right and you'll see. One thing you need to know is that, and I've talked about this before, if you do not turn off your internal RF right here, okay? And I'm sorry it's so blurry, guys. I will work on this piece of junk camera setup here. I don't know what's happened. Maybe, but anyways, if you notice here, it says off. If you turn it on and you press the button and you turn it to like D16, right? Normal, like what we normally be using. And you try to bind, and you have your external, which is your R9M, right? And you try to bind anything. You will notice that you will not have a telemetry option, okay? So let me give you an idea here of what I'm talking about. So let's turn this internal off, and this is just a last minute note for you guys. Sorry, I'm scrolling through, just screwing around. Let me go to internal, god darn it. Okay, so let's turn it off. And if I go to bind right now, I'm gonna change this to 3 though, because I don't wanna mess what I've got. You see how it says 9 through 16 telemetry on, and you have 1 through 8 telemetry on, or whatever? Okay, if you do this, and you leave the thing on, and you go to, where is it? Bind. Now, you lose your telemetry on options. You have to be, you won't have telemetry, sorry. You have got to turn off your internal module, all right? So in this case, go to mode, go to off, and then when you go to bind, all of a sudden your telemetry comes back on. So I know this is an issue for some people, and I walked you through it. Just make note of that, okay, guys? I don't like that feature. I don't know what the technical side of it is that makes it have to do that, but that is the way it is. After that, binding is like normal. Press your bind button, plug in the, put this in bind mode, plug in the LiPo while you have the bind button down, let go, it starts blinking, boom, you're done. There's no instruction needed for that part. That's the part you needed, and there you go. Now, let me get to here. Okay, so I know that was, I hope that helped. I'm sure I could have done a better job, guys, but I don't know if I moved too fast or not. I'm just trying to, make sure that I get the information. The idea behind this is, yes, I'm seeing somebody posting about how to mount it, 90 degrees. So it should be like a T. That has worked the best. Shows boobs. John, can you can you make sure to send me those files, because I think everybody needs to see what the hell you're talking about. Some people don't understand. John actually does the splash screen for the Cyclone image on the X-Lite, so I'll post that again. I think I put it on the old website. Anyways, guys, that's it for right now. I'm getting ready to do some thrust test over there on the new motors we got in, the 2207.5 from Brother Hobby. Keep watch for the website. You will have your bind and fly 7, 8, 9-inch tonight that you can do the get the pricing on. And there's also a new custom build your quad app that's going to be on our website, and you will actually be able to pick the frame, then pick the flight controller, then pick the ESC, build it and customize it yourself, kind of like building a hamburger. All right, if you don't have any other questions, then I'm out. Appreciate y'all. Sorry I've been off the air for a little bit, but I am going to be coming back with some pretty badass stuff for you guys. Appreciate all y'all support. Talk to you later, guys. See ya. Bye.